Donald Trump still got a lot of his biggest backers. Sidney Powell still likes him. Lynn Wood's fighting for him, but others are slowly starting to drop away, including one who's been a staunch defender of him for some time. That is televangelist Pat Robertson, who still is very influential among sort of a sector of America that I don't speak to. And so it doesn't have a lot of effect on my life, but for millions of Americans, he is still important. And so let's go to a little bit of one of his recent broadcasts where he talks about the ongoing challenges to the election.
All his talent and the ability to raise money and draw large crowds, the president still lives in an alternate reality. He really does. People say, well, he lies about this, that, and the other, but no, he isn't lying. To him, that's the truth. He had the biggest crowd on Inauguration Day. He had more people than ever. He was the most popular people. He saved NBC, but with The Apprentice, you go down the line of things that really aren't true, and people kept pointing to them. But because they loved him so much, and he was so strong for the evangelicals were with him all the way. But there was something about him that was good, that God placed him in that office for the time. He's done a marvelous job for the economy. But at the same time, he is very erratic, and he's fired people, and he's fought people, and he's insulted people, and it keeps going down the line. So it's a mixed bag. And I think it would be well to say, you've had your day, and it's time to move on.
Okay, so as someone just mentioned on Twitch, Anna, you were talking earlier about goblins being out there. We found one, but anyway. So look, Pat Robertson again doesn't matter to me, doesn't affect my life, but there are a lot of people who trust him and believe that he is effectively a direct conduit to God himself. So if he's saying it's time for Trump to pack it in, could that possibly get through to people? Might that actually help continue American democracy?
No, he's going to get death threats. He and his family will get death threats. That's what will happen. It doesn't matter who the person is. Doesn't matter what their track record has been with the Republican Party. Doesn't matter if it was the most hardcore evangelical imaginable fundamentalist who otherwise was the darling of the Republican Party and Republican voters. None of that matters. All it takes is to have one mild criticism of Trump or to speak out against Trump in any way, and that person will deal with death threats and all sorts of crazy MAGA people who refuse to accept reality. And that's the situation that we're in. I mean, the Republican Party has become the party of Trump, and that's not gonna change. So it's something that, going back to a previous discussion we were having, John, it's something that I wish Joe Biden were more aware of, because I don't think that he's lying about how he thinks he can work with Republicans. I think he genuinely does think he can work with Republicans. But when he's thinking about the Republican Party and the Republican constituency, he's literally thinking about people like Bob Dole, right? He's thinking about, Reagan era Republicans, and the game has changed to the point where the most conservative Supreme Court in our nation's history is not conservative enough, because it would not carry out Donald Trump's attempts to dismantle our democratic process and steal the election. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and William Barr isn't sufficiently loyal to Trump because he won't seize the voting machines after all that he's done. Yeah, I do wonder if there's anyone that can get through, and I largely agree. I feel like no matter how in with the right you've been, you're gonna find out it's not enough when you finally turn on Trump by acknowledging reality. That's all it takes. I think that there's a chance with Pat Robertson because of that religious connection. Maybe there are people who've been watching Pat Robertson for 130 years on TV. Like they've been there. They're the Century Plus Club. But we'll see. When Pence, in a couple of weeks, when he has to preside over the actual vote, if he certifies that, he better have protection at that point. I really do worry about their willingness to throw everyone to the wolves, and Pat Robertson might be experiencing a little bit of that.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.